Good morning to you all, and welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show, and I'm your host, Sal Greco. Thank you all for being here. I see Jay Vindictive, Terry Murnane, Baby Lou, 182, Chief Mike Marino. Good morning to you, especially, Mike. I know I haven't supposed to call you back the other day, but things have been hectic in my end. You know, I had a birthday this weekend, too. It was a great weekend. Now it got cold out of nowhere. Fox, Frankie Palaguacci, Matt O'Brien, even Detective Nolan. Shout out to you. I know you're in the chat the other day as well. Thank you all for being here. If you're watching us on YouTube, on the Sal Greco Show on YouTube, please hit the like button, share this out, hit the notification bell, become a subscriber because, of course, there's a lot of content that I put up on there. If you're watching on Rumble right now on the Sal Greco Show, please hit the like button, hit the Rumble button, follow us on there as well. Also press that notification button so anytime we're live on Rumble, you'll get notified. And of course, on X, streaming live across the world right now on the Sal Greco. Please like, share this out to all your friends. Don't forget to follow me too on X if you can. Share this out to all your friends, especially those in the low information bubble. You could also follow us on TikTok at the Sal Greco Show, same on Instagram, as well as at the Sal Greco on X and Instagram. There's a lot to go around today. There's a ton of news, but first and foremost, before anything, if you are stuck in a nor'eastern blizzard right now, if you live in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maine, New York, New Jersey, got destroyed already. Please stay safe in a nice area. If you're working, all the emergency responders, whether the police, sanitation, I mean, look at this. This is just the beginning. Please stay safe. Things can go wrong out there when you're driving. It could get really bad. Of course, we don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be paid shovelers. We'll get to that in a little bit later. I guess you need ID to shovel, but you don't need ID to vote in New York City. That's something else. I mean, hey, look, here's a naked cowboy. Great guy. He's a real staunch conservative, and he's out there, with his guitar in the middle of Times Square with snow falling. So, listen, if you are working, just please stay safe. Going. If you can help other people, you do what you can, but you're the most important person working. So, stay in your car if you can't. If not, go out there. I mean, if who's plowing? God knows there's tons of, you're gonna need salt. I don't know I haven't seen any salt trucks out there, especially in New York City, but anywhere in the Northeast, just keep your head on a swivel. I like to say, especially in this kind of weather conditions, and not to go back in time. But I actually had in a blizzard about 10 years ago when it was a blizzard. I actually had a DWI in a blizzard. I know it sounds crazy. I was the only guy, and the guy was like a 0.180. He blew a 0.180 blood alcohol content. So you never know what you're gonna have. Guy completely just like stopped in the middle of the road, passed out drunk in a car. Only in New York City, right? Only in Brooklyn. Shout out to Frankie Palaguacci. $9.99 to the Sal Greco Show. Happy belated birthday. Support the show, and God bless everyone. God bless you too, Frankie. Thank you very much. There'll be plenty of cafecitos going around. We'll talk about that in a little bit with my guests, actually. 92 Charlie, good morning to you as well. So what I wanted to start off with is obviously it was a big weekend. There's a lot of things that happened. You had some maniac try to go into Mar-a-Lago. This is the third attempted assassination on the life of President Trump. You have Mexico's on fire. You got cartels fighting the military. Now we got to worry about if Americans, civilians getting in the way of this because they're threatening them out there. But there was one thing that happened this weekend that really stuck out, and it was the gold medal Olympic game. You guys know I'm a big hockey fan. And there's Jack Hughes. I love my country. And as Kenny Albert said, he lost 2 teeth for a gold medal. And something? I would have done the same thing. It was so exciting to see that, to see America back at the pinnacle of hockey. It's big in Russia. It's big in the, in the Soviet bloc. It's big with Canada, big in Sweden, and I think the coach in Canada was a little bitter because he was talking about 3-on-3. Well, he won a game 3-on-3 during the Olympics. He had no problem then, but he has a problem when he's beat by it. It's very interesting when stuff like that happens, right? Look at that, HFL 737. Forget about it. Sal the goalie won it for us. Yeah, you're right. The goalie did win. A spectacular save he made. It was unbelievable. And before I go on, Mike Marino, shout out to you. $9.99 to the Sal Greco Show. I'm going to have so much cafecito, I'm going to need a defibrillator before the end of the day. But then there is something about this game, and it's great for this country. But did the FBI director end up over there? Because I'm going to show you a post from the FBI director. Okay. So Kash Patel, as you know, Steve Bannon associate. I want to throw that out there as well. He had posted something not even about a year ago about he was going to go because now America was going to be in the Olympics. So to set the stage, Kash Patel posts this post on X about this, right? Here it is. This is Kash Patel, the FBI director, 2025. This was just last year. NHL agreed to let the boys play in the next Olympics this coming winter. First time in over a decade. Team USA, I'll see you there. It's interesting because now that means the FBI director, all of the American taxpayer money, will now fly the FBI director. Now I'm just going to say this. He was very critical of Christopher Wray, the former FBI director, who used to do this all over. He used to fly all over the country and all over the world. Nobody knew exactly why. Why is the FBI director going to other countries? But he went to the Olympics. And first there was an article about this that spotted him there. There's a picture of him in the crowd. So it was in the Daily Mail, right? So all of a sudden, Kash Patel pops up at the Olympics. Here it is. Kash Patel is spotted in the crowd for USA's Winter Olympic Hockey semifinal showdown after backlash of a $75,000 taxpayer-funded trip. Remember that. $75,000 to go fly there. And, well, lo and behold, I didn't know the FBI director is now a hockey player, but here he is in the locker room. See that? Does anybody have a problem with this? I mean, I'm a taxpayer. You're a taxpayer watching this show. This guy is, first of all, he's drinking, on duty or whatever you want to call that. I don't know what you call that. And I mean, a friend of the show, Kyle Serafin's post, he spells out exactly that this is a violation of the federal guidelines for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So I don't know what to say there. I think that is outrageous behavior from the FBI director. He flew overseas, costing taxpayers close to $100,000 to go celebrate with the team. Now, he's not a hockey player. Not even the president does that, and he can do that. If it was President Trump, who's too busy having to watch his back because he got maniacs trying to sneak into Mar-a-Lago, which I happened to drive by the same day. That incident happened about 3 hours prior to I left Palm Beach. I drove by Mar-a-Lago, and then at 7 o'clock, some maniac tried to go in there with a gas can and a shotgun. But if the president left to go see that game and went in the locker room, that's different. Because the president is all about diplomacy, being diplomatic. He represents the whole country. That's the FBI director. What is that about? And why? Yeah, he's in a camera view. Kaz Patel, Frankie Palagarchi says, he is the Kaz Daughtry light. I mean, I can't believe what I was watching there. So just to put that out there, that is exactly what Baby Lou is saying. That is a bad decision or a poor decision by the FBI director to go there. I don't know. Here it is. Kyle Serafin's post. Busted. FBI director claimed his boondoggle to Italy was for official business. It was always to wear a jersey in the locker room. fraud, waste, abuse. The internet, especially fans, captured a deleted live stream is undefeated. Congrats, Team USA. And this video is the same thing that we just showed you. And again, you know, I don't know if you want to play this video too. See this in the locker room. It's crazy. This is crazy. This is the team, this is great, but he's in the background. So just so you understand, you see, there he is on a live stream, which they actually deleted afterwards. I have no idea why would the FBI director be in the locker room in Italy, where it costs $75,000 for this. I don't know how that's a business trip or something to do with the FBI business when you're clearly in the locker room, man. The reason we point this out, and also Cash Patel's a Steve Bannon guy, but the reason we point this out is because Cash Patel would go around and do a million different shows and interviews and talk about Christopher Wray misusing funds and waste and abuse, but yet now he's doing it. Isn't that interesting? These people get into the very top of the hierarchy, and then, don't look at me, don't judge me. Isn't that interesting? It's very interesting. But what can I say? I'm really disappointed by Cash Patel. Another unqualified guy in government, running government actually, which is scary. But folks, if you live in South Florida, you should come to our event March 11th, where we're going to be honoring Roger Stone in the Italian-American Civil Rights League. You could join it by going to iacrl.org, and then you go right there. You could join us at the Florida chapter kickoff. There'll be plenty of stuff that's going to be happening with the Italian-American Civil Rights League. And yes, we do challenge for, certain things regarding Italian-Americans' rights, and we've been in court for removal of statues. So we are doing something. So please join us if you can. Join our organization, iacrl.org, become a member, and then book your ticket to the event that's going to happen March 11th at Casa Calabria. We'll be honoring Roger Stone. There'll be also plenty of other things that, we'll be having other people speaking there. But it's going to be a great time with Italian Americans or those who want to be adopted and be Italian American. That's fine with me also. And I don't know where you get your news on these major search engines, but I don't like to look for them because it's always one-sided. So I think you guys should check out Free Spoke. Now, I know you're tired of searching on the web for things and not getting the results you're looking for. I have something for you. Free Spoke. Free Spoke is a search engine that is all about authenticity rather than agendas. Labels, media bias, no intrusions, or data leaking or your data being taken from you. Porn free, none of those ads, unlimited, unbiased AI, deep dive podcast searching, and you can get it by going to freespoke.app.link/Greco. Use the same link to get a 35% discount on your premium subscription. What are you waiting for, folks? This is the way of the future. Free Spoke. Hey, have it, folks. Go to Free Spoke, Greco 35. Get your 35% discount on a subscription plan. And again, you can use that for your AI. So if you need AI for any reason, you got to write draft things or write things, you can use Free Spoke. A lot of people pay a lot more using Gemini and ChatGPT. So just throwing that out there. So Free Spoke. So next thing I was going to show you is over the weekend, actually on Friday, I started digging in on this Robert Sigg. Now, if you don't know who Robert Sigg is the owner of Performance One Media, which owns Real America's Voice, which shows Steve Bannon's show. And Steve Bannon is just mired in controversy, which, I said for many years, he's a close associate or was of Jeffrey Epstein. He's also a close associate of Miles Guo. He's also a close associate of Cash Patel. I mean, this guy, anyone in and around him is mired in the same controversy, if not involved in Steve Bannon's managers. I mean, this is Robert Sigg right here. So this was his mugshot, which is a hard thing to find. So I had put a video out, and let's show this to you, the viewers.
Files now being made public, and constantly we are seeing new communications between Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon that are quite alarming. Another figure in Steve Bannon world, which we should be paying attention to, is Robert Sigg. Who is Robert Sigg? Well, Robert Sigg is the owner of Performance One Media. He also, through this company, owns Real America's Voice. Now, what people don't realize is in 2006, Robert Sigg started this company, but it was the same year that he was convicted of mortgage fraud, where somehow Robert Sigg is the only person that doesn't go to jail, has to pay restitution, and everyone else involved in that case had to pay a lot of money, and some that got crazy sentences, like 101 years. Robert Sigg also has quite a lengthy rap sheet. And also, his son apparently committed a heinous act. Yet, he owns Real America's Voice, where you're not allowed to criticize Steve Bannon one time, and owns the rights to the show. Or is it the other way around? Who is Robert Sigg?
Interesting too is, if you look back in the year 2006, Robert Sigg was convicted. He was going to trial for about 2 years, but in 2006, he founded this Performance One Media, which had an office in New York City. But he was pleading guilty and convicted in a case where he had to fork over a lot of money. But others in and around him that were involved in this scheme one guy got sentenced for 101 years, just so you know. One guy was sentenced to 101 years of jail. Others had to pay about $200,000, $2 million, all this crazy money. Robert Sigg was convicted of time served, which reeks of what? Was he talking to the government? Was he the witness against these people? I don't know. It's very odd how the day he's getting convicted, spending all these monies in lawyers, but he has enough money to come up with Performance One Media, which turned into other things for him. Eventually, he was also in trouble for other crimes, various crimes. His son apparently, abducted or killed a 10-year-old girl. There's a lot going on there with this guy. And he runs a Real America's Voice, which then he allegedly bought the rights to Steve Bannon's show. Miles Guo, another guy, there's CCP money involved. So this is something we're going to look into a little further. I've already been doing it with Jason Goodman, which you could check out on my Substack as well. And that's substack.com/@Sal Greco. We have another show we get into, but I'm going to also look into it here because there's just a lot with him, just a lot. And it's very, what can I say? It's like being in a cloud. And for all these conservatives, you keep wondering, why is nobody talking about Bannon and Epstein? Why not Bannon this, Bannon that? Well, you start to see why. And this guy is one of the reasons why, because on paper, he owns Real America's Voice, but he's got his own issues, and you got to question how he even got to that point. So we'll be doing a deep dive on that. Also, I had another video I put up, so we could play that, and we'll get into this a little bit with my guest. So let's play this whole overtime thing that came up. So today we learned that in the New York City Police Department, allegedly now they're starting in the month of March, they were going to cut the patrol officers' overtime to 25 hours a month. Detectives will be allowed to make 5 more hours if they're effecting an arrest. Now, this is, I guess, a way to try to cut down on the budget, but at the same time, I don't think proactive police officers that effect arrests should have to stop that arrest process in order for you to hand this off to another officer and then drag multiple people into a court case, which is what it becomes later on. So I don't know what your mindset is on this out there, but I don't think we should be hurting the proactive police officers. Well, this whole thing, I got a lot of people chiming in left and right with this. First of all, it doesn't start till March. This is the plan. This is coming. People ask, how do you know? How high do your arms reach? Think even higher. So that is the plan starting in March. Now, 25 hours already, that's pretty low. And listen, I understand that the NYPD as a whole, you must cut corners. You want to cut costs, the budget, overtime. But there's details. There's this, there's that, there's protests. But when you start mentioning that, oh, well, a detective, the highest you could go is 30 hours total if you're in an arrest. But the minute you go past 30 hours, you see how a hard cap is going to go from 55 to 40 in a month. What do you do with that? I guess what the idea is assigning the arrest to someone else, but that's going to create paper trail problems. It's going to create multiple officers being involved in a case where some don't even know what the hell happened. And I've seen this before in precincts. The commanding officer taps on whoever's on the desk or the shoulder and say, hey, this guy's a little close to the cap, right? Because they monitor everything. Oh, well, if one officer's close to the cap, well, then you got to reassign that arrest. So now in the middle of processing this arrest, mind you, you're in the middle, whether you fingerprinted this guy, you started the online. Now you got to hand this off to another officer that has no clue what's going on. And we don't know how long this could take. Now, when you go to a court case, something I'm highly familiar with, when you have one arresting officer, if it's a melee, there's other officers involved. They could come down one day, but usually it's one arresting officer for the case, right? You could go on for a week. It could be trial preparation. There could be a trial. But when you have an assigned officer on top of the arresting, now you're looking at 2, 3, 4 guys showing up because of a mess. You're no longer the vouching officer. Also, you got a voucher, whatever it is, you took off this guy. This could become a nightmare for personnel problems, meaning you're going to be short-staffed whenever these cases come up with these cops, or also you're taking away 4 guys on a case. The likelihood of this case now, there's a lot of holes to question as a defense attorney on these cases. I've only seen this with stingy commanding officers that want to make their name and say, I cut overtime. But now if this is implemented job-wide, which is, and listen, have I not been right all along about things? Yeah, Mamdani wants this. It's coming from City Hall. They want to cut this budget, and this is one of the things that they're very serious about, is cutting it overtime. So that's what I got out of this. So without any further ado, I'll have my guest on, and he's also a former police officer, can definitely give his take on this. And that's our friend Ilbey Aykac. We call him Aykac because that's his name on Instagram, Aykac.19. How are you, Elby? How's everything?
I'm good, great. Freezing, snow, knee-high in New York. It's terrible.
Unbelievable.
But, good morning. Thanks for having me. And God bless everybody that doing the first responders, police officers, military, EMS, that alike, because I dropped my wife off this morning and it was terrible. I got stuck. So,
was there any salt out there yet or no?
No, there's no salt yet. The reason being is they waiting for it to stop, because every time they do the salt and it snows on it, and then they're going to plow it again. So I understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, they should do a little bit, because every time they plow it, they ice it.
You know why? Because it freezes, even though you don't realize it. Even it's only going to be a certain temperature for a certain amount of time. And because there's the prior snow, it's going to freeze. It becomes like black ice. That's why you got to put the salt down. But what do I know? I'm just a former cop. So,
Yeah, they should put it down a little bit, but it's not so much. But like I said, every time they plow with the metal, it freezes. So they should put down at least a little bit on it.
Right. Yeah, see, that's what this looks like currently.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I hope everybody's, keep your head on a swivel, stay warm if you can, and, be very careful out there. It's just going to be a hectic mess today.
It is a mess already.
Yeah. But so Ilby, You were out down here actually in Florida. I saw you at Cal Bakery where I like to get the cafecitos in Fort Lauderdale. Cal Bakery, shout out to them. There's like 20 of them. They're probably the best place to get cafecitos in Florida. So, and great Cuban pastries. But you were out here. You know, we were having a nice little chat about things. But this thing with the overtime, right? What are your thoughts on that? Cutting that to 25 hours, it's going to be strict. And not even 55 hours, it'd be 40 hours. And the only way you can get past this is the 30 hours. Now, detectives on patrol, or, you know, there's detectives that make arrests, they're saying only 30 hours for them. What did you take? This sounds a little like, all right, you're punishing proactive guys. That's what they're trying to do.
My experience in 13 years in housing, I recommend you to go to housing, because housing never stops the overtime. Some odd reason, you know, they cut down overtime, but you know, I feel bad for those guys. PSA 5 every summer, they get, you know, killed out there with overtime, and a lot of them get, you know, beat by overtime. And I've been through it. I know it. And you know, they always say it, but it depends on what funds they digging into. So, you know, they say no overtime, but it's who you know and who's taking care of you at the time. I mean, you could prove me wrong, but sometimes they let you do 40 hours, even though if they like you upstairs in the admin office. Sometimes they don't let you do it. They assign the rest. Depends on who's doing the overtime. But, you know, I think this is just, you know, just media, you know, they want to put it out there to the media. But I'm sure, like I said, I've been out for like a year, and last year, you know, they were cutting down overtime, but housing never stopped. They were killing them with Cornerstone, Umbrella, community centers. They were going to transit for overtime. They were digging into housing funding. They were digging into other fundings to get the overtime. And, you know, they got to they find a way in NYPD, some way, somehow. But like I said, and then they cut certain precincts. I don't know why.
The housing's never available. That's a HFL 737. That's funny. That used to be the constant thing. We say housing's never on the air. They're like, what happened to housing? And for those who are not in the NYPD, the Housing Bureau, they handle anything in NYCHA and in those buildings. So when it comes over in a precinct, let's say the 7-5 has, or PSA 5's out there, and you would say whatever, 10-11 comes over, 10-10 in housing, and you would say it goes to the precinct, you know, whatever your sector is in the precinct, Sector Adam, Sector Boy, and then they go, well, it's housing on the air, meaning it would go to housing. The housing cops usually out there, but then never around for various reasons. The best way to put it out. And I did want to tell you this other thing, Ilby. So apparently, and I couldn't get this because there was some kind of memo or some kind of email last night or yesterday morning. They canceled that what do they call that when they go out there? That little thing that they had when they send the cops out. They canceled that over the next 2 days, but they waited until the last minute. It was like basically a few hours away from cops that are assigned to go to this. It's like borough-wide. It's that whole thing. I'm going to get it right now.
Quick response?
Mobile response. That's it. The mobile response.
Yeah, it was quick response, and then they changed it to mobile response.
So they canceled this at the last minute on a Sunday, right? So that people were going to this yesterday, but they didn't know, because now you got to tell operations, they got to send out notifications. There's a last second notification. Oh, we're canceling it for Sunday and Monday. Meanwhile, there were cops didn't know they were in the wind, very close to when the time is to go to this thing. So that's another thing that happened over the weekend. It's just the communications breakdown on the soccer mom. And here's the big one. And before I have Jack come on, I'll tell you this one. There was a meeting with the DEA and the soccer mom. And at this meeting, and this is, you can't get better from the sources I have, okay? the soccer mom out of her own mouth said 99% of the uniformed members of service do not make it to 55 hours in a month. As you know, Ilby, we know, 99%, yeah, I'd probably agree, can make it to 55 hours a month. Of course, the 1%, you know who those guys are, right? All those people. So that's one of the issues that came up with what I put out, is that the soccer mom said at that meeting, specifically, 99% of the uniformed members of service in your city police department do not make it to 55 hours a month. But of course, there's a 1% that does. So that is kind of their reasoning into what they're trying to do now. So what's your final take on that before I have the wingman?
I think that's a lie. I mean, they all actors front of the camera. That's what I think. I'm sure there's a lot of people. I made over 100 hours a week at the UN Assembly one time. I could have made over 32. Our cut was 32 hours a month in housing at PSA 5 at the time. And I know people who pass 32 all the time, and they said no overtime. And there was this guy, Gomez, Detective Gomez. They were cutting his overtime left and right because they didn't like him at last year's that he was going to retire. So, I mean, they could tell me if I'm wrong because I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. They said no overtime, but it depends on who likes you, who doesn't like you. So these people, they don't communicate with each other anyways. Like last minute, you canceling this mobile response team. They never, in the NYPD, in my career that I was down there, they communication with each other is terrible. It's really
it's the left can't tell the right what to do. It's like what and also this is in reference to All Out as well. That's what the soccer mom's talking about too. All Out, and you don't make the 55, but there's people that do go over to 50. But this is the reasoning behind this crazy number of 25 hours a month. They got to do something because it's coming from City Hall, It's shout out to Fox. Salary time.
Remember that time they were defunding NYPD? Remember those times?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, ask the housing cops how much overtime they were doing at that time.
Oh, they must have been forced to do crazy amount.
Yes. So all these people they talk, they just. I mean, I don't know what's the reason behind it, but. Either they trying to show that they doing something to, get the budget straight, or they creating something out there so they can do whatever behind the scenes. It's always happened. You've seen this with de Blasio. You've seen this with Eric Adams. You've seen this with last term of Bloomberg. I mean,
I wrote an article about this too. I actually broke down on my Substack. I wrote an article about Mamdani's budget and actually broke down numbers of first-year budgets from Giuliani all the way to Mamdani and how that works. But some of it sounds real crazy. Well, maybe some of the things he's saying might be true. It might work. The police department knows always a bet. They're trying to cut that corner with the police department 25 hours. What are you saying to proactive cops? They make arrests. Now you're going to put other cops on the and now this part with the DEA. Because now I guess the detective. What happens if they're 30 hours and they're still on the clock? Now what? Reassign this whole thing? You can mess up a whole case by doing that, by the way. That could be catastrophic, but I don't know. Or is it, it's like rules for D, not for me. Oh, that's my driver. We got a lot of that going on, internal affairs, chief of department's office, all the fraternizing going on there. So you could put in for overtime for that. But if you are 25 and then 30, you make an arrest, you're a cop that makes arrest, as somebody's mentioned in the comments on a midnight or something, what happens then? Because this is what's going to happen. No one thinks of these questions. I'm the first guy that always thought about that. Why hurt that guy? Why hurt the active cop, the proactive cop? Why are you trying to hurt him?
I mean, if I was them though, too, nowadays you're allowed to do cash or time. If my opinion and my advice, take it in time. It comes handy at the end. So,
well, they can't. Here's the thing: you're not allowed, I believe, to split overtime from oh, I made 10 hours, 5 in cash, 5 in 10. Now, if they did that, that would be a serious problem.
No, they were doing it. So unless they stopped it, they were doing it before.
No, they were not allowed to do that. You could make a big stink about that. It cannot tell you, oh, we'll take 5 here and 5. They can't tell you how you're supposed to take your overtime. It's either it's an arrest, it's cash, or time, whatever you want. But they can't tell you, well, take 5 here and 3 there because you're going to be over. And no, that's not going to. This is where the unions fall asleep, which I believe the DA union is asleep on this overtime thing. They kind of threw everyone under the bus with that at this meeting as well. There's more about this meeting. I'll get into it, but a lot happened at it. But this is what they were talking about, overtime, why? Lone Silencer says here, great defense attorney will find one little slip up and criminals will get off because of this, which is exactly my point.
I mean, that's the whole purpose.
That's my point. They're going to be giving away cases.
They all sit behind the doors and they communicate. It's like, me getting a CD at the CO's office, delegate goes in there, they talk to each other. I'm coming out, he tells me to take it or leave it. So
take it or leave it. I can't. These guys they're going to be throwing a lot of cops under a bus if they're going to be doing that.
That's always the case. The cops, the poor cops pay the price all the time. Like, doesn't matter what happens. Look at what's going on. You enforce the law. Your title said law enforcer. And whatever happened, you're enforcing that law to the fullest. At the end of the day, mayor, governor, whoever it is in that politician seat, they throw you under the bus. And nobody looks at it like, hold on, this guy is just a public servant who's enforcing the law. And who did this law? Who wrote this law? Let's pick on that person.
Like
why are we picking on the cop? And they always remember the protests. The cops didn't want to make arrests. They didn't want to touch anybody, but white shirts was doing it. And white shirts was doing the same thing the cops doing it. Nobody was saying anything.
No. But you got to remember, I don't know, I guess to civilians may or may not care about issues like this, but they're very important when it comes to when you effect arrests. How you deal with, all right, this officer is going to be past whatever, stupid, they make this number up. But, the problem is that they've let a lot of other people, the 1%, get away with, you put in for anything. Don't worry, I'm the chief. I'm so-and-so. And then that's the problem they had not too long ago, because you had Madry running wild, allowing anything, ordering people. At one point, he was ordering his admin lieutenant to take overtime so that she could deliver half of that or whatever amount of this overtime back to his wife, which was insane. I think people kind of forgot about that part. Go give the money to his wife. So, I mean, it was wild what was being alleged and what happened there. So that is why now I hate when they come down on the working man, which is the working man and woman, those proactive cops. Do whatever you want with all those details, all these people. I'm not saying they're not hard working, but people that make arrests, and maybe I have a soft spot because I was one of those guys. You make arrests all the time and you work hard. You're being proactive. You're not getting in trouble. You're not getting sued. You're not getting CCOB. Why do you now got to hand over some arrest because of some made up cap? Those guys work hard. If anything, those fraternizing people in IEB and all those, that's where you should be enough. I mean, a chief could drive himself, or a chief could have 20 drivers, those that don't have any overtime. But no, they keep hooking up the same people. And then if the people that fall on the sword are the ones I've just mentioned, that's the problem I have. See, a lot of these Joe Cops thing, I'm like against it. No, I don't like the Joe Cops because I don't like the attitude of, and neither do civilians of, it all in the locker room. You're standing on top of the bench. These are problems that can easily be resolved through proper discussion, through decorum, not screaming and yelling, ranting and raving for 3+ hours. This is how you do it. You just have decorum amongst ourselves. This will get back to where it needs to. You have all kinds of, big shots that watch this show in particular and others, and that's how you could change things. Not by being Joe Cop. Joe Cop, nobody wants to listen to that. They want to hear what the solution is. And This is something I said from my days in the NYPD, Ilby. Don't hurt the proactive cop. I'm not saying he's going to have 100 hours of overtime, but you know what? If they go over because they made 10 arrests and they're not getting in trouble and have an excellent record, isn't that someone that the community and the public should know about and say, wow, that's the kind of cop we want out there. This guy's doing everything for the community versus I'm just driving a chief and going to a hotel or whatever the hell some of these people are doing. And there's allegations of overtime or what was going on prior with Madry and the other chief of the department, letting his drivers they were going to bars for overtime or whatever. That's another thing that came up,
But that's how they are, though. I mean, I lived by experience they got to, first of all, they got to stop the biasm and favoritism in the department. That's one issue that this department has. I mean, I love the job. I loved NYPD itself, but it was the people who worked higher ups that mess it up for everybody else, because I lived through it. When I got hurt, Chief Yakatelli got upset. He called me personally. He told me to take my time and get well and everything else. And he found out that I was not coming back because I was an active cop. I mean, he could tell me I'm lying because I got all this information I could go through. And then when he got mad at me, when that incident happened with my kids going to the command, and Lieutenant Ramirez knows about it too, because he was my SOL. He could tell you. And then you know what he did to me? He put me outside. I'm restricted. He put me outside, make sure that I will be a station house security with no gun. I'm restricted. And I'm taking people's temperature outside. Meanwhile, I couldn't be TS. He wants me outside all day long, restricted. So that's what I'm saying. When they have a crutch, and everybody I don't know who Baby Lou is, thank you, but that's what they used to call me. Yeah, and that's what I used to work. I mean, like I said, I went there, and they used to get mad at me because I was getting arrested early, going into the command early. They were telling me, "You're always early." They were punishing me for that. I said, "Okay, no problem." I get arrested again. They were punishing me for that. I mean, Sergeant Herman can tell you, Sergeant Ortiz can tell you, Lieutenant Ramirez can tell you, Murphy, Captain Murphy, now he's a DI. Murphy can tell you, all these guys, like, they got their share too because they didn't want to go with whatever they were playing the games. There was a time that they want us to chase gamblers, little kids. Like, I'm a crime person. Why am I chasing little kids?
Yeah, no, that was another thing that they love doing that. Yeah, crime guys go do this, but meanwhile, why are you doing that? Like, they would do that a lot.
God forbid something happens, nobody backs you up and say, "Oh, no, you should know better."
That's always a lie. You should know better, but how do you know? You're being told to do this. How do you know? You have to do this the way you're being told to do. Otherwise, you're disobeying direct orders, or the CO punish him for a week. He's not allowed to go out anymore. These are the things that people know about. This is all behind the scenes, inside baseball that me and Elby are telling you about. How it's a day in the life of a real active, proactive cop in like a crime unit, which I think now it's CRT, but that's how this was for Ilby. You're a minute over overtime. And this is why when I see the overtime part, that's what I'm arguing about. Because you would be someone, a representative of a hardworking cop. Oh, you're close to the cap. The cap is a number that they make up. It used to be, at this time, probably 35 hours a month, right? You can make 3 arrests and be at 45. It's just some crazy number. Just things happen. But then they would try to punish that guy and say, "Oh, well, he can't go out anymore. Or he can't." So how do you do that? You make a cop administrative because he's active? I don't know. And then
no, they put you on a fixed post. They put you over here. They put you over here. They put you in a station house. They give you details left and right. Like, if you're working in PSA 5, they send you to Coney Island every day, and then they send you somewhere else every day. They just find I'm telling you, they just find a way to make your life miserable. But that was the problem with me. They couldn't make my life miserable. I showed up, and every time I showed up, they got mad. And every time I do my job, I told them, I said, "You cannot tell me not to do my job as a police officer."
I tell you this, Baby Lou loves you because he said when you needed a collar, Aykac helped you address that deficiency. Good eyes, huh? You got good eyes, Elby.
I mean, like I said, I got, Aykac. I got the nickname. My last Catchy Catch. That was the last nickname I was given in crime. And, you know, I got the K9. I got the Eagle Eye, the General. I got all this. I mean, I'm not bragging about it, but I worked, you know. I worked just because I wanted to work. And I did not work to make them pleased, because they could tell you, Sergeant Ortiz can tell you, because Lieutenant Papa, when he kicked me out, when he got kicked out too, I didn't want to work. I don't want to do anything for the guy. So.
Yeah, that's just a sad thing. But now, without any further ado, to add into all of this, I'm going to have the producer, the co-host, and the wingman, Jack Stern, come on to the stage. So, Jack, I don't know what you take with what you're hearing here with overtime and how they're treating proactive cops, which really disgusts me at times what happens there.
Yeah, well, when auditing the payroll, the most interesting thing about the NYPD's overtime budget, and specifically the payroll, is that there was about a $1 billion reduction in payroll between fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025. Now, the catch here is that in fiscal year 2025, they had a $6 billion payroll with 55,000 employees. But then in fiscal year 2024, they had 65,000 employees with a $7.2 billion payroll. But the issue of overtime still remains, because the NYPD doled out over $1 billion in overtime in 2025, and 55 of the people who earned overtime amounting to over $100,000 were lieutenants, detectives, and other staffers, including Christopher Chang here from Patrol Borough Manhattan South, who made about $320,000 in 2025. He was the department's second highest paid employee. So although they're addressing the issue of overtime and trying to cut it in certain areas, it seems like it hasn't been effective when reducing overtime for the highest income earners, which is really the stem and the root of the issue here. Yeah. It's not cops on the street with 2 years on working a couple of extra hours. No, it's lieutenants and supervisors and detectives who aren't actively pursuing cases getting 55 hours of overtime every single month because they know someone within the department. That's really the issue, and it doesn't seem like Jessica Tisch is doing anything to address it.
She hasn't been since she got there, but I'm also hearing that there are people now. Remember when they had this big thing? Oh, the police are they're going to leave and resign because of Mamdani. No. This is what's happening right now. People are trying to put in their papers as we speak because of what I'm telling you. You just cut someone that made 35 or 40 hours, a month in overtime. Now you're saying 25. Now you're saying if you get to 30 and there's not an arrest, what are they going to do? You're going to do what Ilby's telling you about, right? They're going to put you on a foot post. They're going to do this. That's what these little games they play. Is it worth it for someone with 20 years or right about there or more to continue that? And if you're a supervisor, you're not going to get the same amount of overtime either. And then you'll get blamed if someone goes a minute over. So this is why people would run out the door. They made sure that their numbers were okay before this mayor got elected. So if that they were leaving this year, they're okay. They have these options. Or some people just saying, I don't even care. Just get me away from this nonsense. But that's going to be the, what you're going to see now. The influx of people that are putting in for retirement due to the things that I'm just mentioning now. It's not about, well, I don't like the mayor. It's you're hurting my pocket. That's what's going to make people retire. So that's more of the point. And to show you, I've always been for proactive cops. I don't like how some of them get treated. And I don't like that you're trying to cut into their, they're making arrests and you're going to mess up court cases. It's really bad. This has been something I've always fought for since day one when I was a cop. And I still, now, how many years later now, almost 20 years later, they're still trying the same formula. Well, let's go after the proactive cop. If you're 1 minute over this cap because of an arrest, we're going to reassign it. Why? What about all those cops that run around like I'm saying? They're driving chiefs and doing God knows what else. No, they're 1%. But the working cop, the working man and woman, they got to get punished. I don't agree with that at all. That's my
yeah. And Chang, who I just showed, received 1,100. I just checked 1,100,000 hours of overtime in fiscal year 2025. The answer to your question, though, Sal, is very simple. The reason why they punish the hardworking street cops who are actually doing real work is because they want to show that they're doing something. if they're punishing the high level executives and then all of a sudden crime goes up, it looks like they took the wrong actions. If they're punishing the low level people on the totem pole, they're easy to pick on, they're easy to manipulate, and they can't really do a whole lot to fight back aside from going to the union. And we all know that the union heads wearing their poor fitting polo shirts are not actually going to do anything to help them, right? So like that's really the issue here. And none of it's working because violent crime is actually increasing, although crime looks to be stagnating according to the soccer mom, the Harris, whatever you want to call her. But at the end of the day, they're still not solving any of the issues at hand here. And also Jeffrey Madry himself, who was pretty much let go by the department in December 2024, he received $153,000 in 2025. He should be sitting in a jail cell. He should have been forced out of the department under much worse circumstances, and instead he's able to walk away, and it looks like he's going to be receiving his full pension. Ilby can't even get 3/4 for a serious injury that required surgery. Come on now.
Exactly. But the thing is, why? What does he know about those people that he's going to get his full pension? He can, go all of that stuff because they got him by something. They're going to let him go. Behind the doors, they make deals with each other. They talk to each other and they turn around. I mean, if I could put all those recordings I have with the district surgeons, the communications I have, I'm sure they could sit down and say that, yeah, let's cut a deal. Let's give you. No, I like to fight. I'm a fight. You know why? Because you give Joe Schmuck the 3/4, but at the same time, you giving me a hard time. Why? Is it my brother? Is it my beard? Is it my religion? Is it my ethnicity? No, because I say yes, sir, no, sir. I'll move on because, I got the military experience. I don't sit there, argue with you, but I will fight to the fullest with the right way to do it. And, it's just unfair for those guys who work hard every day and nobody cares about it. Yeah. And then these guys get away with murder. It's just ridiculous.
Literally, almost. Definitely other things. But before anything else, Jack, is there a picture that I wanted you to put up that we saw? I don't know if you have that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have it. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's mental telepathy between us, and I know it's we talked about Madry. Who was Madry's commissioner? It involves him.
It does involve him. It's just from his genre. So I don't know who this guy is. John, whatever, Rivera. He's in the middle. But to the right of this picture is Joseph Ayala, who, as you know, he's involved with Hispanic Society, and he's still an active cop. But he's sitting next to, of all people, James Caban. If you remember who he is, James Caban was alleged to have been extorting restaurants, acting like he's the police commissioner. Because at the time, the police commissioner was his twin brother on the left, Mr. Consofrito himself. Eddie Caban
also was fired from the NYPD for holding a taxi driver hostage because he suspected that he had stolen jewelry from his wife. So that's important contextually too.
He's a known criminal. He was arrested. I don't know why Ayala is sitting next to two guys that are now would be deemed to have likely engaged in criminal activity. I think that's criminal association, and yet I don't know. I think this rule is only selectively enforced if you're standing next to Roger Stone, except if then the mayor does it, then it's okay to then go and stand next to the president of the United States, who's also a convicted felon. The rules don't apply to everyone. Isn't that interesting? But I don't know. I don't know what the Hispanic Society is still the head of the Hispanic Society doing next to the Caban brothers. Again, you tell me, Jack. What does that look like?
Well, I mean, it's the classic example of people just associate with people based on who's going to be enriching their lives. So even though the Caban brothers are no longer a part of the NYPD, the head of the Hispanic Society said, listen, they've been involved with the organization for a while. They know the ins and outs. They know all the players involved. Let me go have dinner with him and pick his mind. You would be stupid to believe that Ayala wasn't there to ask the Caban brothers for advice about how to navigate various situations that he's facing and also how to maybe handle union negotiations. Also, you'd be stupid as well to believe that the Cabans have no association with Mayor Mamdani, because they're very well connected in the New York City ecosystem. James Caban was named one of the worst landlords in New York City back in 2013 by the de Blasio administration, yet he continued to operate his building. That's the part that no one talks about. So you have a slumlord here. Mamdani's mom, she's not a slumlord, but she owns a property in Chelsea, which she may or may not have allowed him to live in when he was also living in Astoria. She may or may not be renting that property. That was not publicly disclosed while he was on the campaign. But what I'm getting at is all of these people are like spiders on Charlotte's web, and they know one another and they're talking to one another. And there's clearly some sort of corporate business incentive for them to be having a relationship. That is what this all ties back to.
Hey, Elby, what do you think, Elby? I mean,
they all know each other. I mean, like I said, they all know each other. They get together. They whoever's gonna be the next commissioner, whoever's gonna be the next governor, whoever's gonna be the next mayor to the city, it's just handpicked. Like I heard you guys talk about a lot last episode that you had with the senator, the sergeant, the retired sergeant.
Yeah,
Senator Chan, yeah.
And he said, you guys said that you don't get the regular public person. Like you look at Mondavi. Mondavi never did any real hard work in his lifetime. I was just looking at his history. Did you know his mother was married before his father?
Yes, I did that.
Mitch Epstein.
Yes,
yeah.
Not related to Jeffrey, but yes.
No, it's not related to Jeff, but he was in India and all of that stuff, movie making, all the pictures. But I mean, these guys all know each other. I didn't see Mandabi coming on live TV saying that, I condemn this, I condemn that. That's not true. All he said was it was AI made. I mean, if I was the mayor and they come into me like that, I'm going to, if I have nothing to do with it, that's what I'm going to say. But like I said, behind the curtains, somebody's controlling this dude. He's not, what does he know about city? Like me, a guy who walked in the projects for 13 years. I was born in another country. And you telling me that it's okay to have dual citizenship, a country that your father got kicked out of 1970s and then went to refugees to England and then came to United States. But you cannot turn around and say America first. You cannot, even though whatever you believe in, you cannot turn around and say, God bless those people who passed away in 9/11. I don't care what you believe in, but if you're a true American, doesn't matter what your religion, your ethnicity, you should turn around and say, you're always trying to start something. Yes, I've been through it as a Muslim person. I've been through 9/11. I was in the military. I got deployed to Iraq. If you look at everything is related to each other. Everything is connected. So, like I said, they just, I'm sorry to say this on your show, but they just scumbags who get their pockets full. I'm sorry. That's what they do.
It's World Wrestling Entertainment, like I've been saying forever. That's what this is really all about.
And Mamdani, he likes leaning into the whole Muslim thing, Ilby, hanging out with the Muslim community, taking photos, all that good stuff. But what type of true, very religious Muslim person have you ever met in your life who openly goes out drinking at the bars during campaign season?
I'm sorry. Listen, like I said,
admitted to smoking weed on a debate stage, which he should have never done. Horrible campaign advice. I don't know how religious the guy really is.
I mean, any religion, that's condemned on every religion. Judaism, Christianity. You go over there, you claiming, you're taking pictures with all these people. I'm not gonna do that in public. I'm not gonna, because now you're gonna, the radical Muslims, you got the regular Muslims. Now they're gonna look at you as like, oh, okay, you claiming this by you doing this in front of the camera. I'd rather not do it. If I'm doing it, I do it at my house. That's my own private business. But you over there trying to, okay, if you want to entertain them, but you don't have to do what they do. Nobody's forcing you to do it, but you're doing it for entertainment. That tells me a lot about yourself. Like you said before, if you go run for governor or mayor, are they gonna pick you? No, because they're not gonna pick you because you've been through it. I did everything. If I put my name on there, they're not gonna pick me unless I have a sponsor like Bloomberg or Eric Adams or Cuomo,
like Mamdani did,
and giving me all these money and I'm pocketing 50% of it, giving them a share at the end of it. Now I get picked because I go by the agenda. But if I put my name on there, I could tell them, I'm 22 years a veteran of United States Army, 17 years of police department. I've been on the streets. I know what's poor is. I know what rich is. I know what middle class is. Like what he's doing right now. You giving the 17 and under a free train ride. Okay, that's fine. You giving a senior citizen a just train ride. That's fine. But now you taxing the crap out of the working people who's working. My taxes in Long Island went up from 7,000 to 19,000 since 2011. And nobody knows about it. Nobody knows about it. So what about the disabled veterans? You have 38,000 disabled veterans in New York State. Why don't you pass the law? Law is there. 100% disabled veterans. Why don't you pass the law? So I don't have to pay taxes. I did my dues. I fought your war that you claimed that it was America's war. So,
and now those people are probably going to see the rents increasing if they're living in properties in New York City where the cost is going up too. If that plan ends up going through. I know there's strong resistance to that. But in final analysis with this photo, the glorification of hanging out with known criminals is probably the most disgusting thing. Because if someone like Caban, if the Caban brothers were living in another state and they were charged criminally and they were kind of under the radar, you wouldn't hear anything from them, or they would be put in a jail cell. Now you have the president of a fraternal organization breaking bread with them and making it seem like he regularly hangs out with these two criminals who are disgraced by the department. That's absolutely disgusting to me.
But
I don't care if you want to make the argument that it's bad optically, it's bad morally, it's a combination of both. It's just terrible all the way around.
I mean, those of you that he worked, Tish worked in ITB before, and they were buddy with Olga, and Olga was a civilian worker who made special position. Caban did it. I don't know why. He made a special position for her, some odd reason. And recently, you could steal a lot of time in the department on the department time, but you get away with it and you put in a position, the captain, 10th precinct. I mean, I'm just saying, like, they pick and choose.
Yeah.
You put that 2 and 2 together, because if I did that and I'm not buddy with these guys, they would have hanged me. They would have do whatever it takes to do it. If when COVID was going through, you're doing all these fake COVID cards, you get away with it because your daddy's a chief or your uncle is a chief. Nobody says anything because, oh, you know what? Oh, they chief, don't touch him. But if I did that, they would have fired me on the spot, or they would investigate me, and they would make me go through all of a headache and, go through. It's not that I don't want to take the shot. It's just the point that, why you're forcing me to take the shot.
Yeah, I remember that whole thing, and I think I know which chief, who's now an advisor to Mamdani, who you're talking about.
Oh, that might be, they must know each other.
Yeah.
They must, hang out behind the curtains.
A certain advisor who's a former chief, and I believe ran to Suffolk County and had to leave there as well. But that's I don't know. We want to get into that one. But Jack, what something happened? How you have something with the mayor, right? Mayor Mamdani, how he's handled this entire snow. This has been another travesty on his end. Am I right? I mean.
Yeah, so we'll kind of break down the chain of events here. So first thing that happened is we all know that Mamdani did a terrible job shoveling snow in his first test the last time around. So before talking about any snow removal strategies or what he's going to be doing to try and mitigate the buildup that took place last time, sending out plows earlier, as you guys touched on in the program, he decides to put together this very well-crafted social media video. And this comes right after he's talking about raising people's property taxes too. I mean, the tone-deaf nature of some of his rhetoric is really outstanding. But let's take a listen and watch this real quick.
Hello. Oh my God, Mayor.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
So I thought as the mayor, I wanted to call you and give you some news. We've got a full snow day tomorrow. No online school, no remote learning, full classic snow day. So my only ask to you is that just stay safe, stay indoors during the height of the storm. Once that is passed, feel free to go out and sled. Thank you so much, Victoria.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So remember the last time there was a snow day, he said that there was going to be remote learning because we couldn't have a break in the action in school. Some kids had no internet connection. It was a disaster. Some of the Karen parents are like, they're kids, let them go out and play in the snow. They only have so much time to sled with each other. It was just, he was met with a lot of resistance. So this is the doctoring of the narrative that Mamdani loves to do. This time around, he learned from his mistake. So he decides to create this very well-crafted video where he FaceTimes a student and personally informs them that they have a snow day so she can get excited based on his notification. Very smart idea, but the implementation still kind of rubs me the wrong way.
I think that you could just have the school. I mean, don't you get calls from the schools versus the I've never seen him like, you know, as Eric Adams or de Blasio or Bloomberg. Have they been calling random students and saying, hey,
no. I mean, he probably know the mother or the parent. They probably, you know, trying to do something with, like, I mean, like you said with the Patel, you know, me be in the military and I'm up there, like I said, you drinking in the locker room with, it's not professional. You the position you in, the title you carry. I don't think it's great. You're sporting the, you know, the hockey team, U.S. hockey team, but it's not professional what you're doing in the locker room. You're drinking beer, doing all this stuff, you know, and this guy, same thing. It's not, I mean, it's not. If you call him one little girl, you should call everybody. You should put like 5, 6 people out there. Like, hey, Jessica, hey, Jennifer, hey, Jose, you know, you got a full snow day. Why are you calling one person? Like, what are you trying to prove?
And he's posting it on social media, bragging about it like he did some sort of favor for this young woman. Like, hey, I told you have a snow day, so now you can go have fun. No, he should have FaceTimed the teachers. He should have FaceTimed the students. Or alternatively, he could have made this call a little bit earlier, too, because that was one of the things that he made a mistake with the last time around. He waited till later to say, we're not going to be having a snow day and we're going to be doing remote learning instead. So this is a classic example of him trying to revise history, saying, I made a mistake the last time, but I'm going to make good on it by, you know, making a spectacle out of this. And it really, again, it just didn't sit well with me. And he should be spending more time meeting with the DSNY, talking about how to remove the snow so that we can get back to school on Tuesday instead of pontificating. This is just Mamdani posturing again. But anyway, in addition to posting this video on social media, Mamdani and the Democratic Party over the past couple of weeks have come out against the SAVE Act, or the SAFE Act, rather. What the SAFE Act is it would require forms of voter ID at the voting booths to protect against fraud, to safeguard against all of that stuff, and also for additional verification purposes, because that's been an issue. The Democratic Party has pushed back very aggressively against this act, which is now going through Washington, yet Zoran Mamdani, lo and behold, he didn't get enough people to remove the snow as volunteers last time around, so he's resorting to some desperation, and he's requiring ID for people who want to work for him. Take a listen to this.
We're utilizing 33 DSNY vans and 2 DSNY buses to transport shovelers where they're needed faster. And for those who want to do more to help your neighbors and earn some extra cash, you too can become an emergency snow shoveler. Just show up at your local sanitation garage between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. tomorrow with your paperwork, which is accessible online at nyc.gov/snow, and you can get started right away. And we're utilizing 33
Did I hear that right? Did I hear that right? He wants you to have ID to shovel snow, but if you don't need ID to go vote, though, is that what I'm understanding with this guy?
So yeah, and also you need to come with your paperwork. This is how you know he grew up in a rich family. So
yeah, but the same thing with this. Like, how many IDs do you need in Florida State? You have three different IDs: the standard ID, real ID, and enhanced. Same thing in New York. Who made this possible? Cuomo did in New York. So now, if you're illegal, if you don't have papers, they know exactly who you are because you have the standard ID. So they telling you cannot get on the plane, but if you have the standard ID, you still can get on the plane because you got to pay $45 extra. You have to go through the TSA checkpoint, and you still gonna get on it. So when ICE goes over there to locate these people, they know exactly who they are. They know exactly where to find them because now we have 3 different IDs in 50 states. One is standard, one is real ID, one is enhanced. You could go to Mexico or Canada with it as a passport. So same thing with this guy. You telling me I don't need an ID to vote, so everybody can vote? Now you're gonna use me as a slavery? You're gonna use me at that? What happens if I get a frostbite? What happens if I get hurt?
Hit by a car.
In this snow, you know how bad it is right now outside? My street didn't get plowed yet. So
this is terrible.
How much they paying them anyways? Okay, extra cash. You want to make extra cash? You have to have 3 IDs and you gotta have a paperwork. And then how much you gonna pay me?
This is the socialist, by the way.
He has it on the screen. Is it $20? Look at this. 2 small photos, 2 original forms, Social Security card. Man, if you went to go vote and they actually asked you to have that, which you're supposed to have one of those to show that you're that person, man, things might be a little different, huh?
Hold on a second. This guy was against all the illegal, but he asking for a Social Security card. Why? I mean, he loved the people, so why is he asking for a Social Security card?
Yeah, what if I don't have, because I'm not a citizen of this country, so I don't have a Social Security card. I guess I can't shovel the snow for him.
Yeah, but remember he loved to help everybody. So why are you asking me for a Social Security card? I should just go over there and say, listen, I want to make the extra cash. Why do I need 2 IDs and 4? What am I going to get that? You said that yesterday. What am I going to get that?
Also, how are people getting to the location where they're going to be shoveling the snow? Because you told everyone to stay off the roadways, so no one can drive to get there. The subway is probably operating with limited service. That's going to be a problem too. Most of the people who are probably working need the money and are living in the far-reaching neighborhoods in the outer boroughs, so they have long commutes. I mean, this seems very difficult in terms of implementation all the way around. Also, you need about 6,000 people who are willing to show up and work on a part-time basis. You only got 3,000 the last time around, and it worked out terribly for you. Maybe this is a protective measure to make sure that no illegals show up to shovel snow, so there's not an increased risk of deportation with people who are showing IDs. I don't know what the case may be here, but there's no reason you should have this many forms of ID
right here,
verify your identity to shovel snow.
That's as Joel Ramirez, shout out to Joel, is in the chat, says it's for tax purposes. So when it comes to the Benjamins, all that matters. When it comes to voting, no, it doesn't matter. Only about the money. When it's about the money, I mean, lone silencers are at best. Typical Democrat lunacy. They are against voter ID, but when they vote in D.C., they put their ID in a machine and file their vote. Make it make sense. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this one out. I understand tax purposes. So then the money matters more than the vote, if the vote is legit or not, because that's how you know you have a legit U.S. citizen voting for whatever it is for office. Now it just, but you need your papers to shovel, but you don't need them to vote. That's what this is.
Is the same thing as what NYPD going through right now. Like, to do overtime, you have to do a paperwork. You have to write it in. But to scan in and out, you have to scan your ID on the computer. To get a lost time, you have to scan. You have to do it over the computer. Why am I using a paper still for overtime? So you can control it. So you can do whatever scam you can do behind it. The same thing with this water. Same thing with everything else. So they like to control. It's all whatever cut they get from whatever they can get it from. The same thing. 6,000 people, he could turn around and say, oh, I gave New York City people a job. Yeah, great. You gave them a job, but why don't you raise the minimum wage in New York City? Why don't you lower my taxes in New York City? Why don't you lower the toll bridges in New York City? Because the New York City, same exactly like London, England, same thing. The bikes, the tolls, all that stuff. It's same exactly copy from London, England. That's what it is.
I hear Silver Bell for you. Shout out to you for being in the chat. She says it's the warmth of collectivism. I mean,
the more restrictions you place to employment for your citizens, the harder it's going to be for them to show up and actually want to work. If you're asking someone for 5 forms of identification and they only have 2, there's almost a 0% chance they're going to go and look for the other threes just so they can come in and shovel snow for you. Also, I mean, how many red flags does a socialist have already? He talked about running a platform on making New York City more affordable. Great. That sounds fantastic. You want to raise property taxes. You want to make it harder for people to work. You want to make the conditions in the city so bad that no one wants to potentially live there. You want to wage a war with all of the politicians, and you want to use the citizens of your city as some sort of pawn, right? So you try and get them on your side. So they're now against Governor Hochul and Council Speaker Menon. I mean, this guy's like a dog running around without a head, like swaying around. I mean, he has no direction. Totally rudderless.
All that crap he talked, and then he went to the White House like a little puppy. Like, I mean, if you're a man of your word, you should have never been up there.
The WWE, man, the WWE. It's a show. You gotta let people. They gotta pay. You know, there's a road to WrestleMania. You can't just get in WrestleMania. You got to go to the Royal Rumble. Then there's the pay-per-view in February. There's Raw. There's SmackDown. You got to build it up. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing with the governor. Same thing with him. It's all same thing. And meanwhile, they fixed the roads right before the winter. They destroy it. And then we have to wait till next winter to get the roads fixed. This is the job security. You know, that's how it is.
Lone Silencer says here, when it comes to Dems cutting back on spending, not raising taxes, they go full hair, all in oats and tell you, I can't go for that. No, can do. It seems to be a pattern, too. It's always a blue city Democrat mayor that comes up with some heinous idea like this thing. I understand the taxes, but then what about when it comes to voting? Oh, don't ask for that. Just let anybody come in. It looks suspicious, you know. What else you got, Jack? What else we have on what's going on in the world here?
Yeah, so over the weekend on Saturday afternoon, right after Mr. Greco left Palm Beach, there was a assassination attempt on President Trump's life. The only caveat here is he actually wasn't at Mar-a-Lago when the assassin, who was later identified as Austin Tucker Martin, entered the premise with this gun and a gas can, which was later identified by the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office and the Secret Service. One of the most interesting things about this assassination, then we'll hear from Rick Bradshaw momentarily. I want to bring up this topic of conversation. A lot of people, when they talk about attempts on President Trump's life, they trace it back to people who are Democrats and far left-wing extremists, those who are against his agenda. The interesting part about this this attempted assassination is it was carried out by someone who's actually a registered Republican, voted for Trump, yet he was just angry about his management of the Epstein file. So this was kind of an interesting attempt on his life because it was a member of his own party who was very upset with his administration and how they had managed very sensitive situations.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, he was, to answer Joel Ramirez's question. Yes, he was a Trump supporter. He was a hardcore Republican from North Carolina who was just, again, upset with his management of the Epstein files and the ICE agents in Minneapolis, all that stuff.
But still, you don't do something insane like this.
No.
Don't, you know.
You got to be mentally insane to do something like that. So,
there's, I saw people out here in Fort Lauderdale on Oakland Park, which, Oakland Park, the same cast of characters, you'll see them every couple of weekends. They were on the corner screaming Trump, Epstein, and they had a big sign, they had their little rainbow flags, and it said F ICE. You see them every weekend. You could go ahead and do that, but to go and do something insane, you had gas tank, guns, I hate to, you never want any life perish, but you asking for it, going to do something insane.
You got to be mentally not there in order for you to, unless something behind it. You go into his property, what's secured by Secret Service. Yeah. So it's like, you're just asking for it. You don't remember Suicide by Cop? The same thing. Like, what are you doing? Like I said, it has to be something behind it, or he's mentally not there.
Is that true? He purchased the gun while traveling south? That's what it said?
Yes, he was from North Carolina, and he traveled south with the purpose of attempting to take President Trump's life. This was also just a very poorly thought out assassination attempt. Not that anyone should ever try anything like this. To your point, Elby, I do believe you have to be crazy to try and take someone's life, regardless
Yeah, I mean,
whether
like
or
I
not
said,
you agree or disagree with them.
I seen a lot of dead people in my career, NYPD, and I seen a lot of them in the military. I don't wish that to anybody unless you try to hurt me, my fellow soldier or fellow cop, and I have to do what I have to do. It's just like then I gotta live with it the rest of my life. So it's live or die situation. But this guy, I mean, what are you doing? Like, he'd be out of there 3 years. Doesn't matter what you do. You're not gonna make no difference. You know what? If you succeed, you're gonna make him the god. It's gonna be nonstop. So it gotta be either mentally, the way the plan shown. I think he has some mental problems, but I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, and it's poor planned. And
it's always a mental thing, right? It's always mental.
Yeah.
They're always mental. Oh, they're crazy. It's always that. What do you have a video on this too, Jack?
Yeah, I have a video from Rick Bradshaw who talked about the matter and him trying to enter the premise and how they neutralized the threat. Here's what he had to say.
Morning, the security detail detected that a individual had made his way into the inner perimeter of Mar-a-Lago. A deputy and 2 Secret Service agents on the detail went to that area to investigate. They confronted a white male that was carrying a gas can and a shotgun. He was ordered to drop those 2 pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized Morning.
So this goes to show that the individual was either mentally deranged or just in a state of mental confusion to the point where he wasn't thinking rationally, because he was confronted by 2 individuals upon entering Mar-a-Lago, at which point he pointed his firearm at them, right? Like, so he showed up to the property to try and assassinate President Trump. There were multiple people onto him by this point too. So he clearly wasn't going to get away. But instead of just dropping his weapon and succumbing to being arrested, he decided to point the firearm at them, and then he was ultimately shot. Also, another point here. Even if you disagree with President Trump's release of the Epstein files and the lack of transparency, he's not changing his stance. He's not all of a sudden going to release them because one buffoon is angry about it. As a matter of fact, there was a poll recently that was put out that showed that more than 3/4 of Americans disapprove of how he managed the Epstein files, and Trump really doesn't care. So to Ilby's point, you're not creating any change, and staging an assassination attempt where you go to the president's house where he isn't even living at the time is just a horrible way to do it. And it's now sad because there's an increased level of tension in the air that exists. Like, we had the assassination of Charlie Kirk back in September. There had been speculation that there was going to be another attempt on President Trump's life soon thereafter. Now that it's happened, we're all of a sudden back in this very tense environment.
Can I ask you guys a question? Is it safe to say he's a domestic terrorist?
Absolutely. Of course, he tried to take someone's life. Yes.
President of the United States' life. I mean, so like that's what I'm saying. When they see the media is another role in the United States right nowadays, especially nowadays, they play a big role, and they trying to, they go by whoever's agenda they going by. I mean, some people already know, some people not, but they trying to create chaos. But if it was a Muslim guy who was doing that, I bet you they straight up say it was a terrorist attack on president's life.
They should say, I'd say domestic terrorist, and a shout out to that sheriff, because that sheriff, no matter what he does on the job, is still better than the New York City sheriff, Anthony Miranda, who's
New York City guy, New York City. It's not even a real sheriff though.
No, I know, but still.
Well, the sheriff's department in New York, we actually talked about this a couple episodes ago, Ilby. I'm sure you heard it, but the sheriff's department in New York City is especially weird because they're technically employed by the Department of Finance. So they handle such different matters than other sheriff's departments, which are pretty much the ringleader in terms of handling violent investigations.
Who's the ringleader?
What?
Who's the ringleader? The mayor itself.
Well,
Yeah,
I have an update on something too. Apparently the vehicle that we had made public, there was a RMP, NYPD vehicle in front of Auntie Miranda's home is no longer there. So some did pay attention. And also, Chief Levon Holly, who was creating his own office in PSA 6 there, he's going to make a whole office for him. The construction has all of a sudden stopped. And you wonder, is it because A, we made that public, or B, is it part of the budget to cut this out because they can't afford this? This little space, all the construction has ceased. You're not allowed to go up there too because, they're worried about who's doing what and, who might tell me something else I shouldn't know or, the public shouldn't know because everything's open. But so Levon Holly's office is temporarily or might have been stopped altogether, all that construction. So take that for what it's worth. The people that matter either paying attention to the Sal Greco Show or maybe it's just a coincidence. I
know him personally too. He was my admin lieutenant in PSA 5, Holly, if that's the same Holly.
Yeah.
And he made my life miserable when he was the admin lieutenant there. And he made a lot of people's life miserable too. It was this poor girl who went in there, asked for 4 to 12 instead of in the mornings. He said, your kid is not my problem. You could go away. And then when I was going to the military, he was keep on calling my unit to see if I was going to the military orders. And my military, the admin person told him, he said, stop calling us, call your military leave desk. So like these people, they still survive. They still around. I don't know how, but they have good connections.
Any snake could slither, it always slither away.
Holly is the quintessential. I've never done the job that I'm supervising too, because he's managing the detectives bureau and he worked in transit and on the streets and numbered precincts. He didn't really have that eventful of a career either. Only arrested a handful of felons. A lot of his arrests were violations and misdemeanors. So, you have someone telling everyone what to do who by all indications was incompetent in the job that he was instructing people on when he was actually doing it. And he has no experience in the specialized area that he's instructing in. So, it would be hard for me to listen to someone in those set of circumstances. And when you consider that he's being very disrespectful to his employees, it makes it that much more difficult. And that's why his reputation within the department is so horrible. But they're allowing him to run wild and do whatever he wants, and that reinforces all of his behavior is okay.
Did I not tell you why? Because Rodney Harrison is behind him. The very Rodney Harrison I tried to mention prior, because is his daughters or they're the ones to have alleged to give a fake card or something there, Elby? I don't know. That's the spin on the whole Rodney Harrison behind, but again. Whether it's for budgetary reasons or because certain people watch this show, that office has stopped construction. All you've seen there, it stopped. There's nobody been seen up there. Nobody's been doing anything. You're not allowed up there. So, because it definitely would draw into questions your budget, right? First of all, I think building maintenance, shout out to building maintenance, has to do construction. They have to approve this stuff. And these guys, if you haven't learned from years ago, never get approval. A lot of these guys who think they're above it all, the Pete de Blasios, the Phil Banks, now Levon Holly, there's others I can mention that have done this kind of stuff. And then, wait a minute, now this is corruption. You got to get approvals for this. And some of these buildings, they're already on a list. They're landmarked. You can't just do what you feel like doing. And number one, building maintenance would have to say, wait a minute, where did this order come from? They're not even doing any of your work. So this kind of stuff needs to stop. I don't know why, I don't know what the purpose of this is about. And I don't know this guy personally, just like I don't know the detectives around him. But I know one thing, this dynamic is going to be huge because he's not well liked with the detectives. And he doesn't like some of the shenanigans detectives like to pull. So this going to be something. I'm sure they're going to be hearing a lot coming out of the Detective Bureau with this guy in charge. But that office has ceased its construction, whatever was going on up there. So
it was starting to look a little bit like Kaz's office too.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
You probably put it out there and then they didn't get the permit or permission to do it, or they were doing it.
Building maintenance. just coming down with hammers and sickles and stuff. You can't do that kind of stuff. But these guys do whatever they do. Whatever. Listen, when you're in that protected class, Rodney Harrison in this in this example, you can do what you want. So that's what's the message here. That's what it looks like. So unless this gets addressed, of course, the soccer mom's silent. This never got addressed. That's what it looks like. It looks like he can do whatever he wants because he's a chief. But you know what? Sometimes with enough of you out there and you're supporting this show and what we do, that makes all of the difference. See, you can make a difference. Don't be fooled by others that tell you, oh, you don't matter, or your voice. And no, it does matter because people do watch and they make phone calls and then they go, what the hell is this? And then you got to have an answer because those people that call, they matter and they have a lot of say in things and they don't like to be, number one, embarrassed, or number two, waste taxpayer money on things. And then you got to call wait, we have a budget, but is that in the budget fixing a whole floor for someone? Where did that come from? So these are things that matter. And yes, your voice matters too.
They never have budget to clean the PSA 5.
Yeah, no, they won't even clean the toilets if they back up. Apparently,
oh no, I had to call OSHA to make complaint or for it to get cleaned.
It's the order of operations here. We talk about something, people in the locker room begin having discussions about it, and hopefully it leads to pro-action.
Don't let the Joe cops tell you, though. They'll tell you,
they never active, though. They always reactive. Like I heard the conversation last episode, it never happened. Yeah, but why you wait till it happens? So you already know what's going on. It's like you put in a fixed post on 112 and First. Next thing you know, the criminal already knows there's nobody on 115 and First. So
correct. That's it. They
always obscurity. They never active. They always reactive. The same way they say paramilitary. Yeah, paramilitary till whatever the chief says. Find his message. Yeah, you can do whatever you can do. Because
paramilitary until you have a lieutenant making $400,000 a year telling the chief of department what to do. Yeah, okay, you're paramilitary.
And they pick and choose whoever they want to get overtime.
She was victimized by that guy. Now, the other lieutenant on that list that belonged to another disgraced former chief of department. Now, that guy, yes, there was a lot. There's a lot going on there. He was very close to making $400,000. That guy. So, but Ilby, time has come here because winding down the show. So, if you have anything to say where people can follow you, you're always great on the show. Everybody loves you when you come up.
I have it on my title, Aykac 19, my YouTube channel. I mean, my beer gonna go soon, so I gotta report the military. So Aykac 19 on YouTube. If you can follow me, that would be great. Like I said, thank you for having me. Thanks for meeting you in person last week. I wanted to meet you too, but I guess you wasn't available. That was great. Good time. I miss Florida already. I came here. There's like 2 feet of snow.
Yeah,
it's terrible. And shout out to Sergeant Luster. He was my mentor. Shout out to Sergeant Ortiz, Sergeant Herman, another survivor. I wish he can come to your show. Shout out to Kenny Rivera. These are all good guys in the department that I've been through. They've been through a hell too with me, and I want my 3/4. I deserve it. You make me go through hell, and you know what? I didn't make overtime for 5 years, Sal. 5 years. So, they should give me my overtime back too. And 5 years.
When you soon enough your case will go through. You'll have to, you can
3 LODs back to back, not one. I didn't, fake my twist ankle falling down the stairs like some other people did. They took the sergeant exam, they passed, and then they hit their head on the toilet thing. They passed the lieutenant exam, and they did all that stuff. And I could go on. I know all these people who did what, but like I said, 3 LODs back to back, and they trying to say that it didn't happen. Yeah, but I was just fine. I had 352 arrests, 400 that I assist. I wrote 1,000, almost 1,000 C summonses. You can ask anybody in here, and 3 LODs back to back. I was fine before the RMP accident. I have a spinal surgery. I got a leg surgery, but you're giving me the runaround. Why? And you're putting me as a cell attendant when I'm restricted, and you're making me the station house security when I'm restricted. I have no gun, no vest on, and I'm getting hurt. I'm fighting the perpetrator by myself in the cell with a weapon, and you still putting me out there instead of look out for, a cop with a time on, but you doing me dirty. Why? Because you know that I'm better than you, but I'm not your rank. I don't want to be your rank. I don't want your position. I just want to do my time and go on. But you're giving me a hard time.
And if it was one of their friends too, they'd be giving you any assignment under the sun that you wanted. Oh, Ilby, what do you want to do? Oh, yeah, you can go do it. But because they don't like you, they want to whiplash you around a little bit.
Exactly. And then they have nerves to call district surgeons and tell them what to do, because they all know each other. They communicate. Whoever's telling you, these people on top, they do communicate with each other. If they don't like you, they're gonna make your life miserable. Doesn't matter what. If you don't take, if you weak-minded, you're gonna lose. If you like me, I'm gonna fight it to the last minute. Like that's what I did. He told me, the district surgeon told me that your CO called here and said to put you back in full duty. I have it in recording. So this is what I'm saying. Why? Because I was active. Just say so. Oh, I need you as a cop. And Chief Morello said that to me. I'm not signing your recommendation because you're an active cop. I don't want to let you go. Yeah, but I said, okay, fine. You're going to leave. You're going to get promoted. You're going to leave. Then what? I'm stuck in PSA 5 again. He could tell me if I'm wrong. I remember like yesterday when I asked him to sign my recommendation.
Unbelievable.
But you sign somebody else's recommendation.
They want what's best for them, not what's best for you. And it's weird because when they needed someone to go vouch for them, they expected everyone to drop everything they were doing to go call this boss or give this recommendation, fill out this form. But when you need a little bit of help, nobody's home. It's very selfish.
It is. Be a leader. Don't be a boss. These guys, they just go in there for money or benefit, whatever it is. Do your job with proud. I mean, if you take care of your troop, you take care of your cops, trust me, they're going to take care of you. They're going to do it to the fullest. But you're always out there to get them. I mean, you're going over there, making a circle with your foot, and you threaten the cop, telling him that I'm going to put you in that circle, and every boss in 2-3, 2-5, PSA 5, they're going to come and scratch your book. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I hear you. Listen, we're going to have future discussions on this, especially when you get closer to when we'll have a decision what they're going to do here with this LOD stuff, because they won't answer you. So we'll have you back on. But anyway, Ilby, thanks for coming on. Do your best with the shoveling there, or maybe you can hire one of Mamdani's workers to shovel for you. And,
I'm gonna call Mundabi. He's gonna send these workers.
Maybe he'll show up personally. You never know.
Some people that are registered.
Or I should be like, go online and say, I'm hiring a couple of people. You need 2 photo IDs and 2 photos and application. They could come work for me. I'll pay them $20 an hour.
Imagine if that was the screening method for everyone who was removing snow in your neighborhood. You needed 2 to 5 forms of ID. There would be no snow removed ever.
You don't need any for voting, though. Don't worry. But we'll be in touch, Ilby. But thanks for coming on, and do your best with dealing with the snow. I'll see you soon when you come back down here.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. God bless you guys. God bless everybody that's working hard right now. So God bless America.
Later, Aykac.
God bless you. Yeah, Elby's a great guy, and that's a shame what's going on with that snow thing. Yeah, HFL says it best. Bring a snow shovel when you vote. That'll work. Hey, I'm here to. I know it's November, but I'm here to shovel. There's no snow. I'll just give you an idea. Before we get out of here, I was going to touch up on 2 things. Of course, with sports. Number 1, highlights going great at the Jam Arena. My team won the other day, the Chargers, so we're, I believe, in first place, or like a half a point behind. They were playing Friday night. Great. It was the second week on a Friday doing it, so check them out, World Highlight League or highlightleague.com. You could check out everything with them. And also, Inter Milan, we won 2-0 against Lecce. Now we're 10 points in front of AC Milan, who lost against Parma, and the rest of the table very far behind. Inter at 64 points after 26 games. Milan at 54. And then Napoli has 50. They've fallen apart. So it's we can start hearing that drum beat. You're starting to hear it get louder. Scudetto number 21 for Inter Milan is almost complete. There's 12 games left. But I want to give that. And then we'll see the Champions League as well, HFL. We got to play that game too. They lost that one game, but here it is. We're going to play that team Bodo next. We're going to play them again, but that's tomorrow at 3 p.m. You can check that out. Inter Bodo. That's for the Champions League. So Inter has to win, and they have to win by 2 goals too. So that's a whole nother story. Or they got to go to extra time. But we're in first place. All these Milanista feel sorry for you. So it is what it is. But I wanted to throw that out there. I know what you got, Jack, on the way out.
Yeah, this is hysterical. I had a comment I was going to make about my experience at Mets spring training on Saturday. I'll bring that up in a second. But someone here in the comments says, can you repeat the details about the Roger Stone bar mitzvah, please? Honestly, I'm just like shocked by this comment. I don't even know what to make of it. So for clarification, Roger Stone is a Catholic. To my knowledge, he was never bar mitzvahed. He's not planning on having a bar mitzvah. What we were referring to was part of the Italian-American Civil Rights League and their launch for the Florida chapter coming up on March 11th, which Sal is obviously playing an effort in. But no, I can't imagine Roger Stone even at a bar mitzvah, let alone getting bar mitzvahed. Can you? I can't see that.
I don't know. I don't know if that guy's trolling or whatever. Yes, and yes, Roger is Sicilian. I keep telling you this over and over. Maybe he was Jewish by association because of the number of Jewish people that he knew, but no, Roger himself is not Jewish. Anyway, staying on the topic of sports, Mets spring training opened up on Saturday, and in addition to realizing that Bo Bichette is going to have some trouble playing third base, he made a little bit of a questionable throw from the hot corner on Saturday. I was reminded about how annoying New Yorkers are when I went to the Mets game, because whether it was in the bathroom, in the stands, in the parking lot, they were always just acting very loud and obnoxious. I mean, just take, for example, my experience at the urinals in the bathroom. There's one guy in the middle of the bathrooms. I'm going to tell all of you a joke. What's the worst thing someone from the urinal next to you can tell you? Nice Rolex, bro. I made all of you laugh. Like, he's like, this guy thinks he's some sort of entertainer, like screaming in the middle of the bathroom. There's people on their phones screaming about the snow back in New Jersey while I'm trying to enjoy a baseball game. Like, it's one of those instances where I forgot how annoying people from the Northeast actually were. And once I kind of had my memory rejogged, now I want nothing to do with them. Yeah, well, I don't know how that was. They had the shirts. Next time you got to take video of this. I mean, who knew that was going to show up at the Met game, right?
Yeah.
Which a crazy day. Saturday was my birthday. I had a great time in Palm Beach with my girlfriend. You know, it was just a fun time. And then apparently I drove by just hours later. Some maniac decides to go to Mar-a-Lago. It's insane. What an insane day. But thank you all for the birthday wishes. Also, thank you for anyone. If you want to support me in the show, salgreco.com/support. You can support us there. The super chats, thank you all for that. Anything you give. I mean, this is how we're trying to push the little cart forward here. Also, follow me on Substack at the Sal Greco. You could be a subscriber there to watch my other show. Follow us, Instagram, TikTok at the Sal Greco Show. You can follow us also on Rumble, YouTube at the Sal Greco Show to watch the show live, and of course on X and Instagram at the Sal Greco, where you could also catch the show on X. So I don't know about you, Jack, but if you have nothing else to add to the snow, guys, stay warm. If you're shoveling, I feel bad for your back, but it's a good workout. But stay warm, keep the snow out, get those. Hopefully, sanitation will get out there and put some salt on everything. And hey, you could go and try to shovel snow for money if you have any forms of ID, but not to vote. So with that being said, I will see you on Thursday at 11:05. And, of course, I'll have updates. Whatever news comes our way, we're going to be putting out there. So we'll be seeing you on Thursday at 11:05 a.m. So until then, we're signing off from a warmer South Florida, which, as you know, is a sunny place for shady people.
What I'm asking New Yorkers for is to look back at all the things I've done as a deputy commissioner for operations, as assistant commissioner, and my time as a not only as a New Yorker but as a police officer. I get stuff done.
Listen, there was a book that came out that Jasmine Ray wrote, and in the Daily News today, it was stated that there was a sexual action that happened in Borough Hall. She reported in that book. And it wasn't. You're a dark, sick person, man. You know that? You're a dark, sick person. Your name was on the byline. And there's some of you that have been covering me. You guys could part. Let me do this. Y'all could depart. Y'all could depart. Some of you have been covering me for 3.5 years. Some of you are so sick and dark, and you're the leader of that. You're one of the most dark writers that I've ever seen in this city. And your personal sick vendetta and the sickness of how you think of over-sexualizing a black man, that in the book is stated that there was a sexual action in Borough Hall. That was never in the book. But that's typical of the sickness and the darkness of your sick mind. You're one of the sickest reporters I know. Go to the next question. You're a sick person.